Okay, guys. Super sorry, super embarrassed, I guess, for all the technical difficulties we had. The thing is, the webinar tells us that there's nobody watching right now, but on the chat, we actually see that some of you are connected, Mauricio, Linda. So I hope you're there, because, I don't know, it still says 0. So if you could post it in the G19 for anybody who was with Paula Valdés' webinar. If you could post the link right there, it would be awesome. We've already sent out an email as well from the admissions email. But okay, so let's just get at it with all your questions. The idea of this webinar is basically to go through any technical questions you might have at this point of your landing, or any other questions. Paula is your account executive. So I'll let her introduce herself, I guess.
Hi, everyone. My name is Paula Valdés. She's Paula NA, so for you don't get confused. I'm your account executive. I've been in Startup Chile for 4.5 years. So anything that you need, anything that you want me to help you, not only with technical or financial issues, but for me to connect you with someone else in the team, feel free to send me an email and I will do it.
Great. So basically, your account executive is the go-to person for you during your stay in the program. Some of you already know her. Linda, Mauricio, Carla, Charmine, you guys were in TSF 5 batch, and now you get the chance to get into the C program and have Paula as your account executive if she wasn't earlier on. So we're just waiting on some questions right now, but just to anticipate some stuff for you guys, the program for you starts the 5th of February. So it is a mandatory day to be here. So please plan accordingly, try to be here a bit before so you get all settled in. On that Monday, what we will be doing is an introduction to the general introduction to Startup Chile and the program, and do some activities so you guys can get to know each other a bit better. Then that day in the evening, in the afternoon, with all the foreigners, we will go to the PDI to register your visas. Then Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll be doing some workshops to get you properly landed in the program, where you will be informed about all activities regarding acceleration, financial operations, technical operations, and some community and marketing stuff. Well, we are a team of 24 people to support you during the program. So there's a lot of stuff we can talk about during those 2 days. And then the next thing we will do with foreigners as well, and some Chileans, is get a Chilean root card for you, which is basically like a Chilean ID where you have a social security number, Chilean social security number, which will help you open a bank account. Bank accounts can be opened for foreigners mandatorily and Chileans optional. A company bank account, or you could also open a natural person bank account. But more details on that on your first week. For now, we're just wondering, the reason we're doing this webinar is to see if you have any technical questions you would like to ask Paula. For example, one of the most common questions people have is what kind of expenses they can be doing at the moment.
So at the moment, the only expenses that you can do are the ones mandatory for you to come to Chile. For example, I don't know, your flight ticket, your visa expenses, if you have to have a medical check, police background check, maybe you need to, I don't know, what else? The insurance, health insurance to come to Chile. So that's an important thing, because it's not mandatory to have a health insurance, but it's recommended because you never know, you're in a different country, you don't know how the health system works. So in any case, if something happens, we need you to hire a health insurance that covers you in case of an accident or something happens here while you're here in Chile.
Great. So as Paula said, it's not a mandatory thing, but a very nice to have thing in Chile, especially because health here is quite expensive. So we definitely recommend for you to look into having health insurance while you're here. Another common question to the moment, Paula, is what is the difference between the upfront and the reimbursement?
So as you already read on the terms and conditions, there are two ways to receive the grant. One is upfront and the other one is reimbursement. The reimbursement means that you spend your own money and then you present all expenses to be reimbursed by Corfo. The other option is to get it upfront, meaning that you will receive the money, half of the grant upfront, then you can spend it and you will present all those expenses. If everything is correct, then you will receive the next batch. But just for you to know, the money, even if you choose reimbursement or upfront, you won't get the money up until like 1.5 months since you arrived the program. That's because we need to do a lot of
paperwork.
A lot of paperwork, meaning you have to have your Chilean ID, then you have to sign the contract with Corfo that goes directly to Corfo to be reviewed by the lawyers. And once everything is done with that, we can do the payment. So if you choose an upfront method, then you will receive the money 1.5 months since you arrived to the program. And if you choose reimbursement, then you can reimburse your money 1.5 months since you arrived to the program.
Great. Is there any insurance related to these sorts of payment?
Yeah. So to receive the money upfront, you will need to pay an insurance with an insurance company here in Chile. We will guide you through the process. We've been working with an insurance company before, but you will have to pay about $300 more or less to receive the money, and that amount you can include it in your budget. Like an expense of the program.
Great. And how much money is this insurance approximately? How much does it cost?
Like $300 to $400.
Fantastic. What other things about their financial stuff do you think they should know from at this point of the landing process?
So if you apply as a natural person, meaning you as a person, all expenses should be under your name or one of your team members. Your team members are the ones that apply with you to Startup Chile. So if you have a company on your own country and you're making expenses with your company, it won't be accepted. The only companies that are accepted to make expenses are the ones Chileans that apply to Startup Chile as a company. In that case, every expense should be under the name of the company, meaning invoices, facturas, boletas. Every legal document should be under the name of the person that applied to Startup Chile.
Great, Paula. So I was wondering if, I know there are now more people watching us, but we haven't had any questions from you guys. Just to inform you again, just in case you joined the webinar a bit later, you can do all the questions you have on the live chat where everybody is greeting each other. So this is definitely your chance to go through most of your technical questions right now. Either way, if you don't, you can always reach out to either Paula Valdés or me, Paula N.A., but this is the appropriate moment to get your questions. So what else about the program? You will be coming here with your team members, right? So for the beneficiary of the program, the direct person that has a relation with Startup Chile will be the team leader, which is the person that applied as such. For those of you who have been asking if you can change the team leader because you have, I don't know, a new situation and the team leader is having a difficult time coming, I'm sorry, that is not possible, because the person you applied with is the only person which will hold a legal relationship with Startup Chile, okay? So, but team members are always welcome. You guys have 2 co-work spaces where you can come with your whole teams, as long as there's no more than 5 people making uses of the co-work, because we want everybody to be able to have a spot. The 2 co-works are open for everyone. So and your team academies can join the different activities of the program. It's for everyone. So Mauro has a question. For Paula Valdés, you replied to me this by email. If you use a business credit card, you should transfer that money back to the company from your personal account. My question is, that personal account should be the Chilean one, or can it be a personal account in my origin country? Thanks.
Hola, Mauro. It can be on your origin country. So let's say that you already made an expense with your company's account. As you know, only a Chilean company can make expenses and present those if they apply as a company to Startup Chile. But if you have if you're foreign and you have a company and you're using that account, then you need to transfer from your personal account to that account of the business, so we can count the expense as valid. Mm-hmm. But you can do it from your own country. That's an important thing. So you can use your account from your home country, or you can use the Chilean one. It's not mandatory once you open the Chilean one that you use exclusively that. You're free to use any account. It can be from Chile, from Argentina, from China. It doesn't matter, but it has to be yours or one of your team members.
Great, thank you for that answer, Paula. So Linda has another question. Besides travel expenses, can I start allocating my operating expenses, like purchase of raw material, business cards, etc.?
Hola, Linda. No. So all expenses that are allowed at this moment and up until, I don't know, the 5th of February will be the ones that are the pre-approved, meaning the expenses that you mandatory need to do to participate in Startup Chile. There are some exceptions, like specific expenses, but they are in a context. So if there's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get business cards, then we can talk about it. But I don't think that will be the case.
Great. So Alonso has another question. I have a maximum budget for Startup Chile Fund to rent a place, right? Can I rent a more expensive place and then pay the difference from my own money?
Hola, Alonso. Yes, you can do it. So as you already read on the terms and conditions, that's the maximum amount that Corfo can pay. But if you find something else that you like, then the difference will get from your own pocket, but Corfo can pay that amount.
Great. On housing expenses they can make, Paula, how much money can they actually? I think it's like 700,000.
700.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for salaries? Okay, it's all in your.
700 bruto.
Okay, so 700. Also, so we sent out a handbook a couple of weeks ago, and on that handbook you have all the information you need to know about the landing, the expenses you can make right now, the expenses you will be making further down the line. One thing we wanted to anticipate you guys is you start your program with us the 5th of February. From the first week, we get you guys all settled in with all the legal stuff you need in order to live here in Chile, including opening a bank account for you guys. The week after that, we start signing contracts with each of you guys. And as soon as your contract is signed, 2 months, approximately 2 months after that, you will be receiving your first money, the first part of the grant. So you need to have enough money to come to Chile, to be able to live during that period of time that you will not be receiving the money from the government. All of Startup Chile is a public accelerator. We are government regulated, and these regulations are something we have to obey to. Okay, so just so you have a clarity on that, Chile is not a very expensive country, but it's not also a cheap country. So please keep that in mind before you come here. So Fabiola has another question. How do you guys base decision to authorize paying a freelancer?
So to present an expense of a freelancer, you will need to present their curriculum, your work plan that you have sorted out for that person, meaning the requirements that you need in terms of the activities, how much time, when do you need for that to be done, if you're going to put some milestones. So we evaluate the necessity with the curriculum of the person, and that is in a price range, like a market price range. So you will be able to choose it, but you will have to justify it according to the requirements, meaning their experience and decision on their experience and in their work.
Great. Jorge also has a question. As I read in the handbook for G19, I must notify our election of the subsidy method. When do we notify?
Today we're going to send an email for each of you. Tell us if you're choosing reimbursement or upfront.
The account executives will be sending those emails to their projects, right? Okay, perfect. Alonso wants to know if in order to hire staff and people from countries outside Chile, does it have to be approved by us? He just wants to know when he can give the heads up to the new members of his team.
So every expense that you want to do, it has to be approved by me.
Including the hiring
or buying stuff. So every expense is according to a budget. That budget is according to objectives or milestones that you want to accomplish while you're in Startup Chile. So we will review all of that. We'll make sure that the expenses are completely related to the milestones, and we will approve a budget, and then you can spend the money, so you won't be asking me all the time if you can do certain expenses. So we will be approving a general budget for you to do your expenses, and if you have any changes, then we will change it accordingly.
Great. On a related note, Fabiola wants to know if it's possible to pay their developer that is based in Italy and that is not coming to Chile, and it was not inserted in the application. So he's not a team member.
It says what it was.
Okay, so he's in Italy, not coming to Chile, but was inserted in the application, meaning he's a team member.
Okay, so team members cannot receive a salary as Fabiola is asking. The only ones allowed to receive a salary are the people that are in Chile. So this is like a mandatory thing. For you to receive a salary, you will have to open a Chilean company. It's not mandatory to do it, but if you want to take a salary from the grant, then you will have to open a company. And the only ones allowed to receive a salary from the application is the people that are in Chile. So if your team member is not coming, then they won't get a salary. You can pay to freelancers, meaning people that did not apply with you, but team members, people that apply with you, cannot receive a salary unless they are in Chile.
Great, thank you for the clarification. So another person wants to know, in order to get the accommodation money back, what do we need from our landlords? Is it just a legalized contract?
Yeah, a legalized contract, and depending on how you paid it. So if you paid it like a bank transfer, then a bank transfer receipt. If you paid it by cash, then a sworn statement from the landlord saying that they received the money in cash. Mm-hmm. Or if you're going to deposit the money on their account, then the receipt of the deposit. So on one side is always the contract, and the other side is how you paid it and the receipt of how you paid it.
Thank you, Paula. So Jose Cardenas wants to know, he tells us that he has a burn rate that is being paid from other funding entities, and he is currently paying 2 salaries that are higher than 700,000 pesos. So he wants to know if he can pay them with Startup Chile money if he wants.
Okay, so do not get confused. Salaries for the team members, meaning you and the person that applied with you to Startup Chile, can get a salary only if you open a company here in Chile, and that's the 700,000 Chilean pesos. That's it's bruto. I don't know what's the word.
It's like
net amount.
Yeah.
No, not net.
It's like the first amount without taxes applied.
Yeah. So that's the rule for you and your team members that are here in Chile. But if you have a freelancer, an outsourcing, or want to hire an expert, you can pay as much as you want. That is in a price range according to the market. Jose, if you are receiving a salary from other funding entities that are Chilean and public, then we will have to see their terms and conditions with our terms and conditions. So that way the state won't be paying twice the same expense.
Thank you, Paula. So Fabiola just wants to clear that it's not a salary that she wants to pay this person, but it's a payment for tasks like a freelancer. Is it possible in this case?
If it's your team member, then it cannot be possible unless he's in Chile.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it seems like we're running out of questions right now. We'll give you guys 2 or 3 minutes to ask anything that you feel is important right now, or else we'll just wrap it up. I don't know, Paula, if you have like anything that is generally asked to you at this point, and then maybe you just would want to cover it.
Just to be sure about the expenses, which I know that's the most difficult thing when you are coming from another country. So it's difficult to understand, but we will be having different workshops where you will learn how to present your expenses, how does the program work on that cases. But what you need to know is that every expense that you make has to be either under your name or one of your team members, or if you're Chilean and you apply with a company, everything under the name of the company, meaning boletas, facturas, invoices, everything. Salaries can be paid only if you have a Chilean company that is that you present to Corfo. It's not only that you have a company, you have to present the documentation to Corfo. They will approve the company, and once that is approved, you can make expenses as a company. Meaning from that moment, you can receive a salary for you and your team members that are here in Chile. There's a standard amount that you will find in the playbook or the handbook, but that's only for team members. If you have a freelancer, I don't know, you're working with a developer that you're paying more than that amount, then you can do it if it's within the price market, then it will be okay. But for every expense, if you're not sure on what you need to present, it's better to ask. So you won't get any surprises once you present the expenses. The other thing is that there are mandatory activities like platoons, like SAP Academy, like pitch training, and the program is allowed to finish the contract earlier if you do not comply with the mandatory activities. So we take this very seriously. We're here to make your experience better, and we're open to every feedback that you have, but we have certain requirements that need to be fulfilled by you. And if those are not, then the program has the liberty of ending the contract earlier. So we ask you to be responsible. If you're not sure about something, then just ask. Always ask me first. Then if it's something that it's not completely related to my job, then I will refer you to other one in the staff. But it's always better to ask if you're not sure. Mm-hmm. And just be clear about the expenses. Be here on the February 5th, and then we will be on track to start working while you are in the program.
Great. So we have the last 2 questions. The first one is from Alonso. If you pay a freelancer outside Chile, it can't be a freelance that works the whole amount of time during the program?
Yes, it can.
Mm-hmm. And the last question is coming from Jay Chan. Accommodation money is to be used exclusively on rent, or it can be used to pay gastos comunes as well?
Back to Alonso's question, it can, but it will be considered as an outsourcing. So we call it outsourcing. It's either an expert or an outsourcing. An outsourcing is everyone that is working with you that is outside Chile. If they're working permanently with you, but they didn't apply with you to start up Chile, then you can pay them a salary or a big amount for 3 months. It depends on your necessities and your work plan. But you can do it, and you can pay it from your home country account or from the Chilean account, but there will be taxes involved. So that's up to you, but it has to be your account, and the invoice or factura or boleta that that person makes, it has to be directed to you.
Great. That's very, very complete answer. Yes, Jay Chan basically wants to know if he can use the money that is meant for accommodation, not to only pay rent, but also to pay gastos comunes. Gastos comunes is a very common thing in Chile, and it's expenses of the building you're living in, if it's a building. It's like maintenance, basically, like a maintenance fee that is a monthly maintenance fee.
It's for the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can pay rent plus gastos comunes.
Yeah, and utilities, like water, electricity.
Fantastic. And the last question, who is required to participate in this mandatory activities, the team leader or any member? The team leader is the person that is required to participate in all mandatory activities. Throughout the program, there are many, so some of them we can go through the reason why the team leader wouldn't be here, which is usually something very important, like I'm getting married or something like that, and we can see the possibility of a team member stepping in for them.
Remember that the team leader is the one that is mandatory to be here during the whole program. You're going to have business trips to other countries or to other cities besides Santiago. That will make sense if you're growing your business or growing your startup. But remember that the team leader is the person that needs to be here and is the legal responsible, because you're signing a contract with Corfo. So everything that happens with your startup, you are the legal responsible.
Great. Okay, and this is literally the last question. Living expenses like food, transportation are included?
No. So there are some expenses that cannot be put into the budget, like food, transportation, alcohol, medicines, entertainment expenses. Just for you to know, you can use your money for all the things that you need to do to come to Chile, like flight ticket, visa, police background check, medical check. If you need to travel from one city to another city to get your visa, that also can be included, but it's from one city to another city, not if you buy the bus ticket within the city or the metro ticket within the city. That won't be allowed. You can pay salaries, you can, I don't know, buy a computer depending on your necessities, or raw material to do your startup, and the rent, if you're going to live, when you live here in Chile, you can also present the rent, but those are only for rent, gastos comunes, building fees, and utilities, but no food, transportation, medicine, alcohol, entertainment expenses, for you to invest on something that cannot be possible.
Great. It was a very thorough answer, Paula. So thank you very much, Paula, and thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. If you have any further questions, just reach out to either Paula or me through the admissions email. Take care. Bye.
Bye.